Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan.
Drip, snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's jump right into it since, obviously, everyone wants to hear about what happened yesterday because there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened yesterday on my streams that we absolutely need to address. Some very good, some bad, as is with life, right? Life is a mix. It's not all one way or the other. That's a good thing. Rather have it that way, right? So, let us talk, shall we? But by the way, here's Jasper Kitty to join us early. Joining us early today, Jasper. Anyway, so let's talk before we get to gaming today, which, by the way, today's streams are RoboCop and Like a Dragon Gaiden. A very different day today than what we did yesterday, that's for sure. But again, that's why I love being an interactive variety streamer. I don't just do the same thing every day. I mix it up. I get tons of different content on the streams, and any given day, we could have a totally different crowd. Just take a look. Today, we have, what, 200, 300 people on the podcast? But you guys are here for a different reason than the people who were here yesterday who were all hyped for Baldur's Gate 3, right? And that's a good thing. That's why this number makes more sense when, well, not this kitty, but this number under his head makes more sense when you look at it in context. People say, well, I don't understand. If your average stream has 300 to 400 viewers, how could you have 600 members? Because that's how many people are on a stream at a given time. That's not the total number of people who watch my stuff and like it. You understand? There's different crowds that come in for different kinds of content. And that's why it works. In fact, there was a very interesting thing said yesterday after my stream of Baldur's Gate 3 ended, and I'm going to directly address it today, okay? Anyway, speaking of which, let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about yesterday's content, shall we? Let's talk about Baldur's Gate 3, how it went, what I think about the game, and its future here on the streams, okay? Cool. So yesterday was the premiere of Baldur's Gate 3. You guys had literally been asking me to play this game since the day it came out in August, which of course it wasn't viable. I don't have a way to play this on PC. I do have a mini PC, but that mini PC is not good enough to run the game at any feasible graphic settings. And my other PC is just strictly for capturing and streaming, so I really had no means to play this game. Then it came out on PS5 in September, but I was already getting into heavy other playthroughs, for example, Lies of P and stuff like that. So it just wasn't working. And I explained to you guys that if and when we got to a point where the schedule opened up and there was time to play a very lengthy RPG for a set amount of time, I would play it, but I didn't know when that was going to be, okay? So, I am excited to play the game. I jump into the game, and we've got, no exaggeration, by the end of yesterday's podcast, over 1,000 viewers on the stream. Now, admittedly, I know those weren't all legit my viewers. I think what happened was a few people perhaps sent others over because they were interested to see my, reaction to Baldur's Gate 3 in whatever way. I don't know. Some people rumored that it was certain streamers and stuff that did it. I don't know who really did it, all right? But it was nice to have that kind of day one hype for a game. I mean, no exaggeration, this year, I don't know if I had that level of hype for any game I played. Maybe day one Resident Evil 4 Remake, but that was about it. I can't even think of another game that I had like 1,000 viewers on stream for. I did have 1,000 viewers for drama, whenever there was drama bullshit going on, like Comcast has my internet being screwed up and shit like that. But never did I have like a day one premiere that big. And here's the truth. If I had played Baldur's Gate 3 on release day, I would not have had that crowd. It was only because the game has been so applauded, lauded, praised, given Game of the Year award after Game of the Year award. Now that I'm playing it, it has that level of hype behind it. It wouldn't have had that hype if I had played it back in August. I'm just saying. So it kind of works out that I'm playing it now when more people actually know about it and want to see it. So, here's what I have to say. And I'm not going to go into monstrous, arduous detail about this. What I want to give you is my general thoughts about Baldur's Gate 3 after having played it for around 3 hours yesterday. Okay? The graphics are good. They're very good on PS5. They ran at a nice, silky smooth 60 frames per second most of the time. And the detail was great. The character models particularly look really good. The environments, well, some of them look good, some of them not as good, but definitely the production values show, okay? Compare this to Divinity Original Sin 2, which I'm going to be doing a lot of comparison between the two because that's really the only other game of this style that I've ever played. For sure, you can see that there was a better budget, more detail. For example, the cutscenes, you're always zooming in on the characters close. You're not doing these up in the sky aerial drone shots like it looks like when you're playing Divinity. And as I said, the character models just look a lot better. So in that regard, it's more cinematic. It's more dramatic than Divinity is. So the story so far, we're only 3 hours in, and the story has just begun. I don't want to spoil it, but it's interesting. Like, I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the story because we're so early in. Plus, I've never played a Baldur's Gate game before. I've never played a D&D game before. So not having those backgrounds, I don't really have a frame of reference to say, oh, it must be this is related to this and this is going to happen because of this. I don't have any of that, right? So, because of that, it really is interesting. It's like a first-time experience for me, which is better, right, than if I'd gone in with preconceived notions of what the game's about and what it is. I like the fact that at any moment I have no idea who's going to show up, what's going to happen. Is someone going to join the party? Is someone going to attack us? You know, is someone going to betray us? Who knows? And it's kind of interesting in that way. It seems like right now, early on, what they're trying to do is early party building. It's like we just keep running into people who want to join the party. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if that will have any impact. Like, I don't know if there's limits on how many party members you can have. By the end of the first stream, I had 4 party members. But maybe there's more coming up. I don't know. Again, I don't know how it works. But so far, in that regard, story's interesting. You know, graphics, cinematics, all good. Combat. Now, this is going to be, you know what I should say? Not just combat, but gameplay in general. This is going to be what I'm going to be critical of, all right? Because I'm going to be honest with all of you about this. As you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, okay? So many people told me this game is not Divinity Original Sin 2. Don't worry about that. If you play this game, don't worry. It's very different. You're going to like it. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is Divinity Original Sin 2 Part 2. It's the same stuff. It plays exactly like Divinity. The combat engine is nearly identical for me. I mean, the menus are different. The effects are different on the moves that I'm doing. But it plays just like Divinity. Like, there's no difference. It's top-down style angles. You have to have these painstaking moves where there's certain, distance you can move and rules to how, actions you can take during a turn and things like that. And, you have to know effects. Oh, you have to know this effect has this effect on this and has a chance to do this and may do this. You have to know how to target things properly because it's so intricate. Now, here's the thing. If you know the engine, if you get the combat, if you understand the gameplay, I feel like this game will absolutely shine. But as a newcomer, someone coming into this franchise, again, never having played a Baldur's Gate, never having played a D&D game whatsoever, the only exposure I've even had to this style of game was Divinity 2, I can tell you, this is a pain in the ass. This game is so complicated because it has so many things going on at once that you have to micromanage every little thing. And in addition to that, this game absolutely does not explain half the gameplay mechanics at all. You're just expected to understand how fire can ignite oil and how when you throw a fireball at an enemy and it hits the enemy, it won't ignite the oil on the ground. If you throw the fire on the ground, it'll ignite the fire, but it won't deal direct damage to the enemy. If you want to blow up a barrel, you can't just light oil under the barrel. You have to hit the barrel directly, and then the barrel will explode. These are all just little nuances, but these are critical things you need to know about combat that the game never explains. So, basically, just starting, okay, this is absolutely complicated as hell, all right? I'm not saying that's bad. I'm telling you from an outsider's perspective. This is a daunting game because you're jumping into something with no prerequisite knowledge, and the game kind of expects you to understand these gameplay mechanics. I mean, the camp. I didn't even understand the concept of camp. I was like, what is this? All of a sudden, we're in a camp. Where are we? What is this? And people had to explain to me. So in this game, camp is a virtual area outside of the realms of the real map where you're safe, and this is where you can store inventory, talk to your party members, and do all this stuff. I was like, And when were they going to explain that? I'm here, but I don't even know where I am. Is this part of the map? Is there a dungeon over here? Can I be attacked by enemies? Should I be nervous? What's going on? Never explained. Just figure it out. That's what I mean. That's how the game is. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people like that. I remember, I will hearken this back to over 12 years ago, if you remember. There was a little game that I played in the fall of 2011. And at that time, I also had absolutely no prerequisite knowledge whatsoever of this game or the franchise or anything about it. You may remember it because some people think that it's a pretty interesting game. It's called Dark Souls. Remember that one? So I remember playing Dark Souls and having absolutely no knowledge of it whatsoever. And that game was a goddamn nightmare. Okay? I didn't have the strategy guide. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to actually play the game before I live streamed, reading the video comments. So I would play that game for like 3 to 5 hours, have no idea what I'm doing, just die, get lost, be frustrated, upload, and the next day I would read your video comments about the game. And I would say, oh, so this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Eventually I gave up. I got to Blighttown and I quit. I said, I don't want to play this anymore. It's just not fun. For someone like me who likes learning games on the fly, who doesn't want to open a book to study the game's mechanics and what to do in the game, this is not fun. As an outsider to this franchise, this sucks. Now, here's the thing. Over the years, I became an interactive live streamer, right? I remember going back to Dark Souls when I started streaming, and you guys basically handheld me and guided me through the game. You explained gameplay mechanics. You showed me where to go and how to fight bosses and how this game worked. And after that guided tour of Dark Souls, I gained an appreciation for what the game was. I then went back multiple times myself and played it for real. I then went on to play Dark Souls 2 multiple times, Dark Souls 3 multiple times, Bloodborne multiple times, Sekiro once, and Elden Ring 1.5 times, right? Plus, Demon Souls the original again, the Demon Souls remake. I now even have branched out to Armored Core and other games from FromSoft, right? So, that's the thing. The original experience with a game can be very frustrating if it is this style of game. But I know from experience from Dark Souls that if I had written off every From Software game from then on and said, screw those games. Those games don't explain anything. That's not worth my time. It's too frustrating. I'll never play them again. Can you imagine if I never played a FromSoft game in the last 15 years after Dark Souls 1? How much would I have been missing? Just as a variety gamer, right? I really would have been doing a disservice to myself and all of you by not playing any games from FromSoft because I decided to be stubborn because I didn't enjoy my first time experience with the game. So learning from that experience, many years later, playing Baldur's Gate 3, despite the fact that my first 3 hours were literally a comedy of errors. Like, how do I target something? Why the hell can't I figure this out? Why, when I threw the fireball at the person, how did it miss the person, but then not hit the oil under their feet and ignite it? It doesn't even make sense. If I take a ball of fire and throw it at you and you step to the side, it touches the floor and should light it. No, not in this game. If something misses, it literally disappears from existence. So that's what I mean. These are things you need to know as you play through the game. You don't know them until you play. And then you have to learn through trial and error and arduous time investment, which is, again, what I was trying to get at months and months ago. When I told you guys when the game came out, I said, you guys got to understand, I know what kind of game this is going to be. This is this situation again, where this game is amazing if you have the time to invest in it, to learn it, to immerse yourself in the world and the gameplay mechanics and the elements so that you can actually learn. Not, oh, I play it once a week for 3 hours, I learn nothing, I flub my way through it, and I don't have time to play it again because I'm juggling 7 other games, right? That's definitely not this style of game at all. It wouldn't make sense. So that's why I didn't play it back then. I think by waiting, I've done the right thing. Now we can focus on this game. This is one of my major game playthroughs right now, and it will be for a month or longer. We'll be able to focus on it, learn it, enjoy it, and I feel like that's definitely the way to approach it. So hopefully I made the right choice. I think I did. The fact that so many people came out, watched, supported yesterday, obviously is a sign that people want to see it and didn't care that I played it 4 months later than when it came out. And like I said, I actually feel like there's more hype now because I waited, okay? Anyway, so, after having played the game for 3 hours, I like it. Now, was it frustrating? Yes. In particular, now, you guys, there's going to be some spoilers here. If you've never played the game or if you didn't see part 3 of my playthrough yesterday, there's one particular segment I'd like to address, okay? The final 30 minutes of my playthrough yesterday, arguably the biggest comedy of errors situation, like just mistake after mistake after mistake that I think I've ever had in any RPG. All right, so here's what happened. I want to tell you the story because it was so funny. So I see a crack in the ground. I just formed my party. We had 4 people. I hadn't even used them yet. I didn't even know their abilities. Seriously, I just formed the party, right? I see a crack in the ground. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how you do this. Is there a way to, like, bust this open or something? I'm looking all around, and I notice that there's a block hanging in the sky. So I want to get that block to drop. How do I do it? Well, I have spells. So how do I do it? I'm trying to target it. The controls are so bad on console when it comes to targeting. I can't target the goddamn thing that's right there. It won't let me, like, have the cursor go up there. And people are like, if you play it on PC, this is simple. You just take the mouse click. You're done. But on console, you're trying to do this with your freaking controller. It's, like, impossible to target this goddamn thing. It's so stupid. Okay? So finally, after fucking with this thing for, like, 2-3 minutes, I finally target it. I hit it. It opens the floor. So now how do I get in there? Is there a button that just says enter? No. You have to use a jump mechanic to jump into the hole. Okay? So I flub with that. Finally, I figure out the targeting for the jump mechanic, and I jump inside. Oh, cool. What's in here? A secret? Yeah, a secret fight against people who jump you. And now you have to have this tough-ass fight down here against a whole party of enemies who get the drop on you. Now, again, I had never used my party. So I didn't know what their abilities are. I didn't know how to use them in combat properly whatsoever. And I'm trying to figure this out on the fly. Meanwhile, all these enemies are ranged. They're all shooting arrows through a door and just destroying me. So my party members are getting stunned. I have to pick them back up and stun them. So one person had this oil spell. And I'm like, oh, this is great because they're all grouped together. I'll use it. So I use it. One of them fell. The rest of them just stood there as if nothing happened. Oh, okay, let me ignite the oil. So what I'll do is I'll throw a fireball at one of the enemies. And even if it hits, great. If it doesn't, it should hit the floor and light the oil. No, that's not how this game works. The fireball misses and it disappears from existence. Because that's really what happens in real life. If you throw something at someone and they dodge it, it just disappears. It like goes into a void and has no effect on the environment, right? Anyway, so it was just a bunch of that. And basically what happened was, through a very painstaking battle, I won. But 2 of my party members died. One of them, I believe his name is Gale, and he was a brand new wizard who I just had join the party. So he dies, and all of a sudden, this hologram appears. And it's him, but he's dead. And he's like, if you're seeing this, I'm dead, and you must revive me within 2 days. It's imperative that I come back to life because I guess he's tied to some kind of plot line where he thinks he's super important and can save the world or something like that. So he tells you this really ridiculous, elaborate way to revive him. And I'm like, yeah, the stream's over. You know, I'm not really paying attention to this. Let me just go ahead and get through it, end the stream, and we'll pay attention to this tomorrow or whatever. Okay? So I go, da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, it goes back to controlling your party members, and they die. Game over. What? Why did they die? Now, before people can even explain to me why they died, I say, all right, well, let's resume. At least if it resumes and it's like the beginning of the fight, that's annoying because the fight took like 20 minutes. So I have to redo the fight. But admittedly, I played the fight poorly. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand the elements. If I redo the fight, probably I'll do better the second time. Hopefully, all my characters won't die or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, let's do that and redo it. I hit reload. The game crashes. It won't load my save. I'm like, what? And I haven't seen a game crash on PS5 in ages. Like, ages I haven't seen this at all. I'm like, what's funny is Baldur says, you keep forgetting you can throw health potions at your party members. I can't. I tried. It wouldn't have the throw command. It didn't, I was looking, can I throw? It wouldn't, they were always grayed out. I don't know why. Again, this is something that I have to figure out as we play the game more. I don't really understand it. We just started, I fought like 4 fights the whole game so far. So, anyway. So then I had to reload the entire game, and then luckily it did load, but basically it's locked me into the fight. Like, I can't even choose to not go down there if I wanted to skip that fight and do it later. I can't. They locked me in. That's where the load begins. So when I play again, I have to do this fight first thing. There's nothing else I can do. I have to fight this thing, this group of enemies, and try to do better. Okay? So anyway, After having reloaded, I ask everyone, so what happened? Oh, well, you might not know this. Well, how would I, right? But when Gale dies, his body exhumes a poison gas cloud that noxiously poisons everyone around it. So because he died, your whole party was in the cloud and you died. Oh, I was supposed to know that. You know, maybe it would have been convenient if they explained that in the entire 5-minute cutscene that happened after he died, explaining how to revive him. Like, would it have been nice to add a little addendum? Oh, by the way, while you're trying to revive me, there's a noxious gas cloud you should avoid. No, that doesn't need to be said. You're just supposed to know that, right? You know what I mean? Like, what? But again, that's the game. This game is like Dark Souls. You need to have so much prerequisite knowledge, and once you have it, then likely it's going to be interesting. But once you're playing from a perspective of a first-timer, this game actually is a pain in the ass. All right? Now, here's the thing. Luckily, for me, all right, I'm an interactive streamer. As I play this game, I'm going to have you guys with me to help me understand these gameplay mechanics that otherwise I'd have to look up on the internet and study to figure out. Okay? That's a good thing. That's a great thing. I want to have that interactive experience with all of you. All right? So, I hope that you guys will show up, that you guys will engage and will support future Baldur's Gate 3 streams, and there's going to be a lot of them. All right? I mean, tomorrow is the first stream coming up that will continue with the game. I'm playing it again on Friday. Okay? So, my next 2 major streams after today are actually Baldur's Gate 3, and this will be a major playthrough 2 to 3 times a week. So, I'm going to have probably about 10 hours of progress a week, roughly, in the game, which is good. And if I continue to play it at that rate over the next several weeks, you know, we'll get pretty far into this game before other releases start coming out in 2024. All right? So, that's a good, I'm enjoying it. And I want to say thank you. That was a great premiere stream that obviously gives me good hope and motivation that people are going to enjoy this playthrough and want to come back and participate in it. Right? So I'm really happy for that, and I hope that you guys will continue with that. Now, I just want to say, no, I'm not going to ask every single thing, how do I do it? But in this case, I'm just starting the game, and obviously there's a ton of gameplay mechanics I don't understand. Now is the time to have me, you know, help me to understand the basics of the game so I can get a grasp on this stuff, you know, and start to do better until I kind of get into the swing of it. Once I get into the swing of it, it'll be just like Dark Souls. Once I understand it, then I can get better at it, and then I can learn to appreciate and enjoy it. But I have to get to that point. Thank God it's 2023, and I'm patient, as opposed to 2011 Phil, who's an impatient asshole, who just swears at the game, swears it off, never plays it again, until you guys, years later, as a streamer, convince me to play it interactively with you guys with summons and everything, right? So, I'm very happy that it went well, and I hope that it'll continue to do well. All right? We'll see. All right? Now, what's going to happen? I don't know. Will this game continue to have this level of popularity, or will it die out after 3 streams? That's a good question. RPGs typically do not retain a ginormous audience for me. They just don't. Usually I'll play them 2-3 times, and then by then we'll have a core crowd of 200, 300 people maybe who will show up and watch and engage and support, but usually the hype dies after a while. That very well could happen. Now, if I'm enjoying the game and you guys are enjoying the game and it's fitting into the schedule much like any other game, I'm going to keep playing it. But if I play this game for a week, and on week 2 I go to start playing it, and literally no one's showing up, no one engaged, no one supports, no one cares, and everyone goes off and is distracted and talking about other topics in the chat, I'm not going to care about it anymore either. You understand? Like, that's sadly what happens with some games like this, which is what I was nervous about. You know, with Divinity Original Sin 2, you guys yelled at me for years to play it. So I eventually did. I played it for like 20 hours. And then people got bored of it. And I kept playing it for another 20 hours. And then people got tired of it and said, stop playing it. I still played it for another 20 hours. So I played it for 60 hours. By the end of that playthrough, I couldn't get people to show up to stream. Everyone yelled at me, why are you still playing it? You should be playing other games. You're wasting time with this one. Right? So, that's what I'm worried about. Okay? I am. I'm worried about the interest will die out. But let's see what happens. Maybe not. Maybe because this is Game of the Year, because it's got the hype behind it, maybe it'll, you know, keep going. I guess we'll see. I really am happy that the stream went as well as it did yesterday. Okay? Now, I will address direct criticism and suggestion that I received yesterday, because here's what happened yesterday, okay? That stream, on average, had about 1,000 viewers. At one point, we were over 1,400. By the end, we were around 800, okay? So people said, wait a minute, Phil, this is crazy. Look how many people you got on your stream. You should immediately change all of the streams for the rest of the week and keep playing Baldur's Gate 3. You shouldn't let the momentum die. You should keep it going. And I said to everyone, well, I'm not going to do that because I have a schedule. I'm a variety streamer. I have people who are expecting me to do various games that I've already scheduled out for the week. Just because I had one booming popular stream for this game doesn't mean that everything else now changes and makes room for it. That's not how I operate. And I got so much shit from people in the chat. Oh my God. Phil has no idea. Listen to this. I love this one. Phil has no idea how to operate a business. Someone actually said that to me in the chat. Me, someone who has run his own business since January of 2011, and I've done this for a living for 13 years, I have no idea how to operate a business, okay? Allow me to give you a comparison perspective to put this into a better frame of reference that maybe would make a little bit more sense, okay? Let's say, for example, I was running a sandwich shop, okay? Gourmet sandwiches. And we do all kinds. We do lunch meat, meatball subs, all this good stuff, right? So think a sandwich shop, right? No, not a Subway, because Subway's terrible. Think an actually good sandwich shop, all right? That's my business. I own it. It's my own small business. The sandwich shop operates well. Has a variety of clientele that come in different times a day to buy different kinds of sandwiches. So the variety of sandwiches works. All of a sudden, we introduce a new product, the chicken parm sandwich, okay? It's a different product, very different from everything else. People have been actually requesting that I have chicken parm for a while. And finally, we adopt it and we put it on the menu. The first day that we have chicken parm on the menu, the store is bursting at the seams with customers. They're coming in droves. They're lining up. They want the chicken parm sandwich. They love it. It's selling. It's selling out. All right? So the first 8 hours of the day, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., oh my God, we sold so many chicken parm sandwiches, but we're taking a break for the, the rush, but the dinner rush is about to come in. So what should we do? And someone says, well, we actually just sold so many chicken parm sandwiches. We can't keep up with demand. Instead of selling all our other sandwiches, why don't we just cancel them all, get rid of everything? Let's only sell chicken parm sandwiches. Let's turn this into the chicken parm sandwich store, right? Let's go out and spend all of our budget and all of our time only preparing chicken parm sandwiches, okay? Or you could not do that, and you could have the chicken parm sandwich, but also keep it balanced with all the other things that you offer for a variety clientele, all right? Because here's the thing. If you only sold the chicken parm sandwich, here's exactly what would happen. That sandwich would continue to be popular for probably another day or two until everyone had a taste of the chicken parm. And then it wouldn't be as popular anymore. It would actually die out after a day or two, maybe 3-4 days, right? But what happened is, because all you did was sell chicken parm sandwiches, you didn't sell anything else. You don't have the ingredients. Your other customers were coming in and saying, well, I want a meatball sub. We don't have that. Well, I would like my cold cut combo. We don't have that. What about a Philly cheesesteak? We don't have that anymore. All we have is chicken parm. Well, screw this. I'm never coming back. And so what would happen is all of your customer base who regularly come and support you would leave, because all you're doing is catering to people who only want chicken parm sandwiches. And once the hype for the chicken parm sandwich is dead, what do you have left? Oops, nothing. Because no one else comes to our store anymore because we ignored those customers. We didn't treat them with respect. We didn't basically say, hey, you're the ones who made us who we are. You're the ones who allowed me to have a successful business before the chicken parm came along, right? It wouldn't make sense at all. That's called good business. Good business means to understand when you see a trend, yes, you jump on the trend and you take advantage of it, but you don't completely change everything you're doing to take advantage of a short-term trend. There's a difference between recognizing something that could critically importantly impact your business in a positive way and entirely changing the way you operate to take advantage of something that's going to be fleeting. Okay? So basically, here's the truth. This is sadly what most YouTubers do. All right? Jasper, you're very silly. I'm trying to tell a point and you're standing on my lap. And it's very hard to make a point when you're standing on me. Okay? He's purring. So, here's the thing. Here's how all the YouTubers operate out there. Okay? Oh, there's a hot new game. It's the new viral game. It's the new Fall Guys. It's the new Among Us. It's the new Pizza Tower. It's the new whatever it is. Oh, we'll play it exclusively for a week or two. And then, oh, the hype's done, drop it. And that's what they do. Like, that's the formula they follow. They don't actually care about the content they're putting out. They don't care about the viewership. They don't care about putting out a good playthrough or something meaningful. All they care about is popularity, views, and money. So they play what's popular, and when it's not popular anymore, they drop it like a hot rock and don't give a shit about it ever again. That is very, very bad behavior. And sadly, what has happened is that all of you out there, and I'm sorry, this is true, all of you out there have basically been desensitized. You think that this is okay. It's not. Just because it's what the common YouTuber does, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it valid. These people are disrespecting you. These people don't care about you. They don't care about what you're watching or that you enjoy what they put out. All they care about is that it has that viral popularity to make that money for a few days, and then they move on to the next. How many people jumped on Baldur's Gate 3, played it for a week or two, and then never played it again? Didn't finish it. I would bet a bunch. Because they're all the hype behind it, right? And right now, probably the same thing will happen. A bunch of people, will be buying Baldur's Gate 3 because it won Game of the Year. They'll play it for a little bit, and then they'll drop it again. You know what I'm saying? So, this is why I'm different from other content creators. The fact that I'm here for 15 years, and I'm still successful, despite the fact I'm not a virally popular YouTuber. I don't want to be. I don't want to follow the trend that everyone else does, that you jump on the popular game, you play it for a week, then you drop it like a hot rock. I don't want to do that. I want to make meaningful content for you. I want it that when you come to DSP Gaming, you know that if I started a game that I like, I'm finishing it. You can casually watch it from start to finish at your own leisure. And then, if you enjoy the playthrough, hopefully you would support the channel, right? As opposed to, oh, look, he's playing the same game as everyone else, and so let me just watch it for a couple days, but then know that he's never going to go back to it. Because that's the kind of YouTuber he is, right? That's fleeting popularity. That doesn't mean anything. You know what that means? That's completely worthless content. That content can be watched for a week or two, and then it's not pertinent anymore. Because they didn't finish the game. Because they didn't try to make something meaningful for their audience. They don't even care about their audience. They could give two shits who's on their stream. What they care about is this. That's not what I'm here for. That's never what I've been here for. Since the day I started making YouTube videos, I never intended to make $1 making YouTube content. I wanted to make content that was funny, that was meaningful, insightful, honest, different. That's who I've been since day one. Why people still don't understand that, I don't get it, right? Right now, if I played Baldur's Gate 3 all week long, undoubtedly the streams would have had good views. Now, it wouldn't have had as many views as the first stream. I doubt I will ever get 1,300 viewers for Baldur's Gate 3 ever again. I'd be lucky to get 500. Seriously, I'd be surprised if tomorrow when I play it again, we get 500 viewers. Okay? But likely we'd have more viewers, more support, everything, for about 2-3 days. And then by the time that it's day 4 of me just playing Baldur's Gate 3, everyone will be upset who's a regular around here, right? How many of you who are regulars in the chat right now would want to watch Baldur's Gate 3 for 4 days straight with no other variety? Just clear the schedule to just play Baldur's Gate 3. No Street Fighter, no RoboCop, no late night chill streams of Like a Dragon Gaiden, no react show. Just keep playing Baldur's Gate 3, correct? Am I right or am I right? How many people would have been upset that I'm not playing everything else, right? And the funny part about it is, then you get people who say really, really dumb things. Like, well, if you're successful, then why do you have to ask for contributions? Because that's my model. My model is not jump on what's popular, bring in a bunch of no-face viewers who I don't care about, have them throw fucking money at me because I'm playing the popular viral game, and move on to the next nonsensical, meaningless content for mouth droolers. I don't do that. I make meaningful content for a directed audience. It's called curated content. Now, if you like that content, if you like that it's different, if you appreciate the fact that this week I stuck to my schedule to play the games that were scheduled, despite the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 did so good yesterday, if you appreciate that, then please come by, enjoy all the content, and support it. And yes, it means I have to mention it. It means I have to have little segments where I have to say, hey, please support this different content. This content that doesn't conform to the mold of what everyone else says you have to do to be a popular streamer or a popular YouTuber. When people come to my streams and they ask me, Phil, what's your best advice for an up-and-coming YouTuber? Do I say, oh, follow the viral trends? Do I say, do constant collaborations? Do I say, hold, cheap, kind of really flash-in-the-pan giveaways, right, to try to get artificial popularity for your content? Do I say, try to, censor everything you say so you sound like you're the nice guy? You know what I'm saying? I keep going. How many things can I say? This is what every popular YouTuber or content creator does, right? How many of those things do I do? 0. Goose egg. 0. I strive to be different because I feel like my style is better. And I should. When you are someone who has your own business and you put out a product, you should feel that your product is superior to everyone else's. I feel like those who come and hang out at my streams and give it a true chance and enjoy the content for what it is, like it a lot more than someone who just goes and watches a popular streamer for a minute. Oh, wow, look at this. He's playing fucking Among Us. Wow, ha, 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 ha. And then they move on. People who come here have retention. They come back because they like the content, because it's different. When you come and hang out on a stream with me, it's not about Phil's playing a game. It's about Phil's hanging out with the audience, right? There's some exceptions. When I'm playing multiplayer games, that's not possible. But for the most part, when I'm doing a narrative-based game, a game like tonight, when I'm playing a game like a Dragon Gaiden, that stream's a late-night chill stream. It's mostly about interaction with us, right? And really, the game takes a back seat. Those big-time people can't do that. Because what they've done is they created a formula where they only play insanely popular stuff to make money, and they have absolutely no meaning to the content they do. It's just ha ha ha, quick laugh, quick jab. Means nothing. You will never watch that content a month, 2 months, 10 months from now because it means nothing. It was only pertinent to the moment when that game was a virally popular game. I can play Baldur's Gate 3 now. I can play it next month. I can play it in 5 years, and the playthrough will be just as pertinent as good, as opposed to one of those people playing it, and it's only pertinent when the game's hot and new, and then no one cares anymore. Do you see the difference? But a lot of people don't get that, or they simply put, don't want to admit it, because then that would mean that I'm actually doing something right. And let's face it, the internet doesn't want to act like I'm doing something right. They like having me as their whipping boy. That Phil is the worst content creator. He makes all the wrong decisions, right? That way we can keep our memes going. All our toxic, negative memes can continue. And we can just keep doing what, saying all the nasty things we want about him, right? Well, guess what? I'm here after 15 years because I do things differently. If I had tried to be like everyone else, I would have went out of business years ago. For 2 reasons. Number one, because I'm not the young spring chicken anymore. Dude, I'm 41 years old. People are going to watch a 20-year-old do that kind of content. They don't care about a 41-year-old doing that kind of content. They don't. I have to differentiate myself from everybody else. You understand? That's number one. Number two, I would hate making that kind of content. I don't like making momentary, flash in the pan, popular content just to make money. I hate that shit. You understand? I absolutely, positively hate it. I don't like that. I want to be making content that for me feels meaningful. You understand? Like, I want to feel like when I work, when I'm done and I turn off my stream for that day, that people got something out of it. And it wasn't just a cheap laugh, but maybe there's something insightful that happened. Maybe they actually felt like a part of a community. Maybe they had a fun interaction with me, right? You know, yes, it could have just been a laugh, but it's not just that laugh because someone was playing a virally popular game, but instead because there was genuinely something actually funny or interesting that happened. And you know that you can come back tomorrow and have that same experience because of the dependability, because of my honesty, my loyalty to my audience. You don't get that with other people, right? Literally, other people would have said, here's our schedule. Oh, wait, Baldur's Gate 3 did well? Let's cancel every other game. Cancel every other sandwich that we make in the sandwich shop. We're only making chicken parm. For as long as I can milk the money coming out of the chicken parm sandwich, we keep milking the money out of the chicken parm sandwich. But then what happens? Right? What happens then? Let's be honest. You are ending up not being loyal and honest to those who made you who you are, right? If I only played Baldur's Gate 3 and didn't care about anything else, what about all the other people who watch RoboCop, who watch Street Fighter, who watch other games and want to see those too? That's not fair to them. What did they do wrong that now they get treated like the redheaded stepchild because another game's more popular right now? What did they? Nothing. They didn't do anything to deserve that, right? That's messed up. That's because I would be doing it solely for personal gain. And I'm not doing things solely for personal gain. I refuse. I do things because I feel like they have meaning for me and my audience, okay? I'm excited to play more Baldur's Gate 3. I can't wait to play more Baldur's Gate 3 tomorrow and Friday and continuing on with this playthrough in balance with the rest of my variety streamer schedule. That's how I operate. If you have an issue with that, you can go watch someone who played the game for 2 weeks and never played it again because all they cared about was the flash in the pan popularity. Or on the flip side, you could go watch one of these streamers who plays the crap out of that style of game and probably was a master of it and played it for a month straight and dominated the game and had a great time. Go watch them too. But if you want a true, honest, first-time experience from someone who has no prerequisite knowledge of the series, of D&D, of Baldur's Gate, who only game I've ever played was Divinity 2, didn't finish it, and if you want to see all the foibles and the mistakes I'm going to make and me arduously learning this system and having the opportunity to actually interact with me and help me out to understand how this game works, and if you want to be a part of that awesome process, no matter how dozens or hundreds of hours it ends up being, and you're okay with waiting for the content because the content's good, it's genuine, it's meaningful, it's not made to print money for me, it's made to have meaning for the audience. If that's what you like, then by all means, subscribe to the channel, come back when I play the game, and enjoy with me. That's the difference between Phil Burnell, Darksydephil, and DSP Gaming, and everyone else out there. Right? And that's why I'm still here successfully running a business after 15 years. That's why with only, well, actually, there's a lot of viewers, 580 viewers on my stream, I can still operate a successful business. This is why. Because I'm not like them. I don't get it. Phil has so few viewers. How does he make a living? I make a good living because people like me and my content. Despite all the nonsense people say about me, they're all fucking wrong. They don't get it because all they care about is what they have been conditioned to think is the right way to do things. It's not. There's more than one way to do things in life. My way works and actually works better than those who are constantly dependent on waiting for the next viral sensation to hit. Because when there's no viral sensations to cover, guess what happens? We got nothing to do today. It's a boring day. So now we got to talk about drama. Now we got to cause problems. Now we got to be assholes because we need content today. I don't need to do that ever. Ever. I always have more than enough content to put out for the internet because I don't make shit. Get it?
I got the drip going. 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 I got the drip going.
It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean, these dumb kids. This is what it is, it's dumb kids.